So these are the kind of things I would do to go in and change the orchestration a little bit. Sometimes I went out and did more drastic things, like in Stones of Years. I changed the feel of that section. I used the Ivory piano plugin to change it up and do more of a jazzy type approach to that, and I had some fun with the chords and really change the feel, and you can check that out.
Realize you are. Had you talked to the winds of time,
I was really excited for this section to be joined by one of my special guests, Mr. Stephen Wilson of Porcupine Tree. Stephen and I became friendly when Porcupine Tree opened up for Dream Theater some years ago, and we hit it off really well because Stephen and I share kind of the same taste in a lot of music. At the time when I met him, I was really getting into electronic music, things like Autechre or Aphex Twin, Boards of Canada, and we would talk, and he would turn me on to, he'd say, "Oh, you got to go listen to Murkoff, or you have to listen to Mouse on Mars," or whatever, and I'd go off and check these things out, and we'd write, and he'd always be on tour somewhere, I'd be on tour somewhere, so we were turning each other on to cool music and hit it off. So I was really excited to get him to do that Stones of Years vocal, and I think it turned out really beautifully. So that was a really nice thing. The other person who sings on Tarkus is Kip Winger. Kip and I have been friends. We were introduced by my friend Rod Morgenstein, who's the drummer on this album. And Kip is someone that is just an amazing musician, so incredibly capable. And I just love to work with him because he's not only a great musician and a wonderful vocalist, he's also fantastic in the studio. So it should be said that Kip, and actually most of the other artists I work with as well, when they sent back their tracks to me, they not only did a great performance, but they also sounded amazing and were all ready to go. Because somebody like Kip is incredible in the studio and just can prepare his voice, so there's really not much that we have to do with it on this end once we get it. So you can check out a little bit of his vocal on Tarkus.
The high priest took the blade and blessed the ones that prayed and all obeyed. The messenger of fear is slowly growing nearer to the time assigned.
The other avenue that I went down with Tarkus is, I've been into all this electronic music, and I tried to add a little bit of that mindset into the arrangement, so I stretched out one little section that you can hear that has this kind of, electronic thing going on. It's kind of fun. You can check that out. We used a lot of V-synth on this section, and I have my synthesizer set up to be multi-timbral, so I can have a lot of different sounds that I'm playing with. Most of my synthesizers can be set up to run 16 different sounds at the same time. And what I did, especially in this piece, Tarkus, which was such a large composition and so richly orchestrated, was I'd have like my Roland Phantom set up to have 16 different sounds on it, my Korg Oasis to have 16 different sounds on it. I'd use my Kurzweil synthesizers. In the studio I have a lot of different instruments. I'm lucky enough to have a nice setup there. And for this album, I used, mostly like the Korg Oasis and the Radius and the Roland Phantom and the Phantom rack as well. And for the beginning of Tarkus, I actually used their VP550, which is the vocal modeling keyboard, which I love because it's so easy to operate and just sounds amazing for that whole the whole fourths thing that happens at the beginning. And I also use my Moog synthesizers, and I have a couple of the Dave Smith Evolver keyboards, which I used on Tarkus as well. And not to mention my continuum. I love this little section because the continuum is screaming. It's just this wild sound that I use, and Rod is going nuts on the drums and really changing it up a lot. So that was really fun. The continuum is used, so much on the album, and as we talk about the different songs, I'll show you those places because it's pretty cool.